Again, I'm Troy Pierce, and I'm the project manager for Northeast 10th Avenue. This is from Northeast 149th Street to Northeast 154th Street. I want to welcome you tonight to a virtual open house. It's one that's it's the first one the county's been done, and under these the COVID circumstances, I want to welcome everybody who's here. I do want to take a minute and introduce county staff that are here. Bart Arthur is our construction manager for the project, and he will be the county's lead during the construction of the contract of the construction work. We also have Megan and Cindy, our public involvement office for Public Works. Cindy is the host for this meeting, and I believe Ijaz is on as well. Is that correct, Ijaz? I guess he can't answer, right? I think I saw his name, so he's listening in as well. There may be some other staff that I'm not aware of, but those are the four. I'm looking at my presentation. I only see four faces up here. So
Ijaz is on.
Ijaz is on. Okay. All right. So tonight, what I'll do is I'll go through this PowerPoint presentation, and I did receive a handful of questions that I will answer, and then I believe that we will have an opportunity to, if you have a question after that, you'll be able to raise your hand virtually on this program, and I believe that Cindy will be able to unmute you, and you will be able to ask your question. So with that, we will get started. Assuming that I can move, there it goes. So the county has had a number of projects over the last decade or so along this corridor. Many of you may be aware of those. The Salmon Creek Interchange project on the red bar at the bottom was done close to a decade ago, I believe. The next 141st to 149th Street was, I believe, completed in 2013. That's the yellow bar that's next. 149th Street to 154th Street, that's the black bar. That is the current project, and we'll talk more about that one. 154th Street to Northeast 164th Street, the bridge project that was completed in 2018. And then the fairgrounds, 164th Street North. I believe that's a future project on the long-term 20-year plan. It was on it, then off it. I believe it's on it again, or it may be developed as development comes in, or constructed as development comes in. But it does not have any future plans or any immediate plans at the moment. So again, this is the location. It's 149th Street to 154th Street. A little bit of the legs of each intersection, and we will be reconstructing both intersections, 154th Street and 149th Street, with this project. We did a little bit of the work that we did for the bridge project was not the full-blown intersection improvement on 154th Street. So we'll be going back to that one and actually raising that one. Additionally, we couldn't do it at that time because of the where the road was to the south, couldn't match those grades effectively. So we'll be reconstructing both of these intersections during this project. And this is kind of why you can see on the left that's the new bridge project looking north, and then the one on the right is to the south, I believe. If it isn't, that's what it's supposed to be. It's constructed out with curb, gutter, sidewalk, And then you see in the middle what we have out there at the moment. So that is what we are going to address with this project. The funding for the project, we have a federal grant, we have traffic impact fees, and also the road fund are the three primary sources of funding for the project. I think the federal grant is a $3 million grant, and I did not get. I meant to have a nice pie chart here or something. I did not get to that point. I apologize. If you have questions about the funding, you can ask me or email me or something, and I can provide further information. So here is a project overview, kind of the full-blown picture. We'll be taking bits and pieces of this and zooming in on them tonight with this presentation. This is north is to the right. So you're looking at if the top is to the west. There's a plan view on the aerial up on the north up top, and there's a profile. It's hard to see, and we'll kind of pull some of that out a little bit. The profile is on the bottom. And this exhibit is actually now on the website. I got a question about that. I appreciate you sending that question, and then Cindy was able to post this, so it's on the project website as a PDF of the project. So this project again will improve Northeast 10th Avenue. The roadway section will be 2 travel lanes with a center left turn lane, bike lanes, and sidewalks. And you can see the dimensions there. It will match what's been constructed to the north and also what's been constructed to the south. We will be constructing a new culvert crossing. There's an existing culvert as you go. If you look just to the left of the picture is 149th Street. And as you go north from 149th Street, you go down that gully or down and then start right. At the bottom of that, there is an existing culvert. I believe it's between 2 and 3 feet, 2 and 3 feet in diameter, and passes the tributary to Whipple Creek through that and under that. We will be required to make that fish passable, and so we will have a new 17-foot culvert pipe. You can see on the right. It is at an angle still. We tried to make that perpendicular to the road, but just with the topography, the way the slopes are, it's kind of a unique situation where it's a hill into a valley, and they're kind of swapped on each side of the road. So we do have it at an angle here, and it's that size because of the fish passable requirement, and we have to kind of match. What we try and do is we're required to match what the stream, the bank full stream is, and you can kind of see, I hope that you can see the ordinary high water mark, the green lines that kind of go into that blue culvert. That is where we were matching. So that is a factor in the size of the culvert. We also didn't want to get any bigger than that because then it becomes a bridge structure, and we didn't want to get into that either. So the retaining walls are the red lines. Hopefully you can see those. They're on either side. They're of the roadway. They're actually not ever opposite of each other. So again, with that unique topography out there, we have a hill and a canyon, and a hill and a canyon, and they're offset the walls in that way. So the walls range, I think the maximum is 25 feet, right where the culvert is, I believe. So You can see how those are situated parallel to the roadway, and then perpendicular to the culvert, swinging out to be perpendicular to the culvert. We also will be, and this doesn't show it, we'll also be installing a new traffic signal at the intersection of Northeast 10th Avenue and 149th Street. And there will be a stormwater pond, detention pond. We have to treat and detain stormwater with our project, and it'll be located there on the corner of 149th Street and Northeast 10th Avenue. We are also, in the contract, we are including work from the Clark Regional Wastewater District. They're adding a sewer force main from about the culvert area up to the north toward 154th Street. And then we're also partnering with Clark Public Utilities, and we have a large main, a 30-inch main in some places in the contract as well that will be constructed. So this shows us a little close-up of the profile. You can see kind of the proposed culvert. So if you see the bottom area of that is where the existing culvert is going to be. The current roadway is this green line. Hopefully you can see that. It's about halfway between the bottom of that culvert and the red line. And it is, the existing roadway is currently 12 to 15 feet above the existing culvert. And the new roadway will be 12 to 15 feet above the existing roadway. So we are going to go down 12 to 15 feet to the bottom where the creek is, tear out the old culvert, replace it with the new culvert, and then bring the fill up about close to 30 feet from the bottom of the creek. That in-water work will be done during the summer. There's a fish window for the project, and it will be done, I believe it's July 15 to November 1. They'll reroute the stream around it during that time and be working directly in the creek to do that culvert. But then there's quite a bit of grading as we and earthwork to be done as we come out. So essentially we're going to tear out the old roadway and dig a huge hole and then put the culvert in and fill it back up. So the road will be closed for that period of time. Again, excavating down to stream level. Once we're down there, there are some ground improvements that need to be done under the walls and under the culvert to prevent settlement. And those are going to be cement treated soil where the cement is augured down into the soil, and it's a number of piles and columns in the treated area that adds strength to the soil where the retaining wall and the culvert will be. And then, as I mentioned, the 17-foot culvert, fish passable culvert, and the retaining walls. So here is a cross section of the roadway. You can see how the wall is only on one side, and if this would be closer to 149th Street, and you can see where the wall is on the right side, and then there's a slope up to the road, and then a slope down the other side to match existing ground. As you move farther to the north on 10th Avenue, this will swap over so that as you cross the culvert, this wall will then be on your left side, on the west side, and the ground, the slope will be able to match the bank on the other side. Again, just a unique topographical situation where the walls are not opposite of each other. And the walls will not come directly up behind the sidewalk. There is a slope area. You can see that on the plan view too. The distance between the edge of the roadway and the wall is a slope. There will be protection down at the top of the wall, and to prevent people from falling off. Then we will, add the fill up to the final grade. We'll install utilities as we go, and build the slopes up before final paving and all of that. So the intersections, 154th Street is on the left. You can see it's going to be raised about 3 feet during construction. That's the difference there between the green and the red line. It will not be closed, as in fully closed. It will be constructed under traffic, so there will be frequent times of flagging when I think it'll be flagged the whole time, essentially, for traffic to get through. But it will be done under construction, and be raised about 3 feet. Northeast 149th Street will be raised about 8 feet from where it is now. It will stay open to traffic for most of the project. There will be a 30-day period where that intersection is closed to raise it by that amount. They'll raise the roadway up, and they'll complete the first lift of the paving. Basically tear off the old road, put in everything, and raise the roadway up to its first lift, which means the first layer of paving. And then they'll probably pave that second layer. Would be done with the whole project when they can pave the whole thing all at once. So then it would be open back up to traffic after it's raised, even though the project may not be completed or will not be completed. But the idea is to keep traffic on this intersection as long as or as much as possible during the project. I did see a quick question flash up. It does have sidewalk on both sides. Basically about where you see is where it ends, and then it swings around and matches up, and we can look at the bigger one to see that, but the roadway does have sidewalk on both sides. So the construction schedule, we opened bids in November. Tapani Incorporated will be the contractor. It was actually today that we had our pre-construction conference with them, and coordination has been ongoing already, but this was a big step in coordinating with utilities and a number of other members of the team, which is a significant number of stakeholders involved in construction. At this point, we anticipate construction to begin, well, let me say that the contract construction start date lists as May 3. There may be an opportunity to move that sooner, but that has not been determined yet. So at this point, we're going with the May 3rd as our start. The contractor's schedule shows the main closures anticipated, and again, these are draft. This was a draft schedule, so this is the best information that we have at this moment. The main closure of Northeast 10th Avenue would be begin in mid-June of this year and extend through mid-May. I have a typo there. It says 2021 twice. But so main closure starts mid-June 2021, and the 2 lines down says main closure end mid-May. That should say 2022. And then at this point, the interim closure, which is 149th Street, we are anticipating that at this point to be roughly the month of October of this year. So that would be when that is currently anticipated to occur. And then the road would be open. Well, I think they plan to open in mid-May and then finish things up sometime in June. The 275 days is the working days. Sometimes weather changes that. If we can't work some days during the winter, that can be extended some, but should be sometime in the month of June that the roadway has substantial completion and it's fully usable. So road closures, the main one again, north of 149th Street, closed off about where the red bar is, and where between the two red bars, I don't know if I have those in exactly the right place. I may not, because I know there's a driveway close to where that red bar is, but essentially between them, the roadway will be physically impassable for a period of time with the digging the big the hole down to the culvert, down to the creek, and replacing that and building the ground improvements and the retaining walls and bringing that back up. And then south of 154th Street, where the yellow bar is where I think the closure will be. The contractor will determine that, but I believe he said today that that would function as a three-legged intersection. If there is a driveway or is access needed south, local access will be provided, but through traffic will not be able to get through on Northeast 10th Avenue for that 11-month period. The interim closure will close off the intersection of 149th Street for the 30-day period, again looking like the month of October, but then be opened again for traffic. So detour routes, this is the main detour route for most of the time for the 11-month period. If somebody has to get through or around, excuse me, 100 or Northeast 10th Avenue, there is a route down 149th Street to Northwest 11th Avenue and then back to the east on Northwest 164th Street. So that would be the primary route, detour route around. These, I believe, will be signed as part of the contract where to be moving. And I apologize. It looks like some of the text is upside down. This was originally oriented in a different direction, and so well, I'm going to put north up like it usually is on maps, and I didn't catch until too late that it made some of the text upside down. So that is the main detour route. So the interim route for the 30-day period, there's going to be two parts to it, and this is going to be the part that's close to the project itself. There is a way through there, Northeast 146th Street, over to Northeast 4th Avenue, and then back to 149th Street during the period that is closed. I say that is potentially the worst part of the closure, and having traffic go through there. There's a couple of factors that that we're going to be watching very closely. We'll do when this interim closure gets put in place, the county will be doing speed monitoring, and we'll have existing counts of what traffic, how they use that now, and we can see what the increase is. Often what we find is that after the first day or two, it's hard and traffic finds another route. And so we'll be monitoring this very closely to see how it's progressing, and seeing if we need to implement any type of mitigation measures to increase safety or to deal with anything that we are able to do at that point. Because I wanted to bring up, I don't know a lot about the details of this project, but there is a project. There will be a new roundabout being constructed just north of 139th Street. And it will be concurrent with the county project, meaning that they'll be building it, they'll be overlapping during construction. And so this one, I believe, is anticipated to begin work about the time that we do, or maybe shortly after, May, June, July period. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but I do know that it cannot be constructed with two-way traffic, so that they will have to be flagging consistently and continuously through this project to get it constructed. So it will actually be a choke point or for traffic wanting to get north. So it may help to some degree. I'm not sure exactly, and that's one of the things that we'll be monitoring. If it's just so difficult to get through that point, people might want to consider a different route around. And this is one that is an option if you continue west on Northwest 139th Street and then turn north on Northwest 21st Street. You're back to Northwest 149th Street. And so it is a longer way around, but with a couple of different constrictions, both with the private project down near 141st Street and then with the county project 149th Street. That may be a way that becomes a preference, just because you can avoid construction in that manner. So that is our information. That's also on the website. And we are available to answer questions. And I think that is the end of my presentation. I did have a couple of questions that I'm aware of, and if I didn't get it, I apologize. There is so let me answer a couple of questions I have here. So the signal, the functioning of the signal on 149th Street, I'm actually going to go back to it so we can see it. Currently, traffic has a free right coming around the corner from westbound to southbound, and it has a free left heading northbound to westbound. And with a signal, the main throughway will be north and south, Northeast 10th Avenue. So traffic coming up to Northeast 10th Avenue on 149th Street will have it won't be as free flowing as it is now. There will be, if it's a red light, you'll have to stop, but the right turn on red will be allowed. So it might be just a quick come to a stop and see that there's no traffic. Or if it's a green light, obviously, somebody's turning left or there's a line, a queue, it'll be a green and you'll go around the corner on a green light. There will be I've forgotten the name of the light, but there will be for signal crossings, the right turn will be allowed on red except when there is a pedestrian crossing, excuse me. And then it will have an extra signage that lights up brightly and catches your attention quite well in terms of do not cross on red. I've seen some examples around that. As far as northbound traffic to westbound, which is the highest movement, I believe, there is it will be a flashing yellow. So if there's nobody coming south, that movement will remain, and you'll be able to go if there's nobody there. I think that answers or the questions that I'm aware of. If I missed you and you sent me an email, I will go back and look and see. I answered or I responded to some who were having trouble getting on, and hopefully they were able to get on. And then we also added that added the large PDF onto the website. So I think I'm going to see.
Why don't we do this, Troy, because there were some questions that were asked in chat, and Bart, Ijaz, and I have been answering some of them as we can. But why don't I read to you the questions that haven't been answered yet, and then we can take audio questions.
Okay.
Okay, the first question is, why a light and not a roundabout? And I believe that is in reference to 149th.
Yeah, so we looked at that. Some years ago when we were actually considering that for the bridge project as well, 154th Street, 164th Street. We had some idea that this might be a roundabout corridor. That turns out that on 149th Street, just because of the grades and the I'm going to go back up to the that main, just because of the grades and the way it drops off, it just wasn't going to work out well for a roundabout. It would have had to been offset and get over farther to the west, and it just was not going to work well. So that was why that was discarded.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, will 149th just to the west of 10th also be raised? There's currently a slope down to the intersection coming from the west.
Yes, so that will be raised. Looks like the extent of the work is about right where about, if that's 10 plus a pair, about 150 feet to the west. That will be raised up to match to existing roads. So that will have a much flatter entrance and a much flatter approach to the intersection. It might have some slope still, but not nearly as much as it does now. And we'll continue the sidewalk on the north side of 149th Street. You can see the blue line that extends farther to the west. I think that goes up and matches into an existing sidewalk on the north side.
Thank you, Troy. The next question is, with the widening of 10th from a narrow two-lane road, how are property lines reevaluated since the road will creep onto people's current property?
So the county went through with the project and purchased additional property alongside each side of the roadway. I think about 5 feet on each side. And so the right-of-way, the county right-of-way was expanded to fit the road inside. And that was done through a standard process with that's the Uniform Act. I don't know much the official name of that, but it is done with an offer, with appraisals, and goes through the market value approach.
Thank you. The next question, we actually received a few questions about this. So can you please just clarify the construction timeline for the roundabout project that you had mentioned earlier, and how that's going to interact with the construction project that we're doing?
So I don't know a lot of details. That one, it's just that they're going to be running at the same time. they're far enough apart that they're not really affecting each other from a construction standpoint. Maybe from an access standpoint, but I think it's just that they're happening at the same time, and they're going to increase the restrictions on especially Northeast 10th Avenue during that time. And again, I've just heard preliminary, just talking with, I don't even know what the right word is. I haven't seen anything official about when it's under construction. I just know that it's coming, and they're planning on doing it this summer at roughly the same time, beginning roughly the same time as the county project.
So for those who are asking that question, as we get more information about that roundabout project, we will be sure to put it on the project website, and also to include those impacts on our weekly construction traffic impacts, so that you have all that information available to you. The next question is, can they install speed bumps permanently on 149th?
On 149th, well, we don't really have a speed bump program that I'm aware of at this point. I would have to get traffic involved in that, and I'm not sure that we're installing those right now.
I believe you are correct on that. Are they going to be doing some road repairs on 149th for the additional traffic? The project, for this project, the limits are what we talked about, kind of up 150 feet up the hill. The traffic volumes for 149th Street, at least in the near future, are not going to change significantly. I mean, they'll grow with growth, but they'll now have a different profile to drive on. I'm not aware of improvements beyond the limits of the project. What I know what happens is that the roadways are evaluated. There's a pavement management program in the county that looks and reviews the various roadways within the county and ranks them according to what their needs are. I don't know where 149th ranks on that. That is something, if you reach out to me, I can dig into and find out kind of where, if there is something pending, like on the pavement preservation side. There are a number of different methodologies, everywhere from just a light layer to a full-blown overlay that are done at various times. And so I don't know where 149 fits, or it's, I'm not aware of its current condition. I hope it doesn't look like 10th, the little picture we had in the middle. If it is, we'll need to get reservation on that. The Pavement Preservation Group creates a list every year of the highest need roads throughout the county, and they have published what they are going to be doing in 2021 on the website under pavement preservation. And I believe they've posted it for 2022, but I can't say that for a fact. But that information is available on the Clark County Public Works website. The next question is about the blinking yellow light. Will it be able to tell if there is no southbound traffic on Northeast 10th Avenue?
So it will be, it'll be the typical flashing yellow, where if it's free, if there is no traffic, then you're free to turn left. You would need to yield to traffic, to oncoming traffic, if there is somebody coming south on 10th Avenue, unless you had a green arrow. I think it would be both. I have not seen it without it, but it would have most of the time probably a flashing yellow, and then you would need to yield to traffic that's coming southbound. Again, unless there became a line or the light turned green for you. And that's typical around the county. That's it would operate in that similar way.
Thank you, Troy. The next question we have is, will you be installing temporary stop signs in the Detour neighborhood for the month of October?
That is definitely something that can be looked at. I don't know that I'd have to look at the detour plan to see what's in there at the moment. But that is one of the things that I think would be in the toolbox to evaluate during that time.
Okay, a couple of questions about sidewalks here. The first one is, are you adding sidewalks on 148th? And where are the sidewalks being installed as part of this project?
I'm going to go back up to that overall. So we're not adding sidewalk on 148th. You can see the project extends almost to 148th, but we'll be up to where you see the end of the blue lines. We are adding sidewalk on the west side. Basically, we'll be connecting the sidewalks on the west side, and we'll be matching the sidewalk, on the east side, and we'll be matching the sidewalk on the west side. And then it will carry around the corner and connect up to existing sidewalk on the south side. And the one thing I'm not certain of, I believe on the north side, we do extend the sidewalk up to existing sidewalk along 149th Street. So it looks like it goes another almost 200 feet of just sidewalk on the north side, so that there's continuous sidewalk. And then obviously we'll match in on the north side of the project. We'll match into what we built with the bridge project. That will not extend, sidewalk will not extend east and west on 154th Street beyond basically the curb returns. Those roads are not being developed or constructed out. Will match back to existing.
Thanks, Troy. The next question is, with the construction of the stormwater retention pond, how will that affect the housing units or communities around it?
I don't think it will be. It will be similar to what's been there now. There is a facility across the street, so it will kind of be a mirror of that. Not a mirror. It's not going to be the same exactly, but it will be there. I'm not aware of impacts or what is the concern. I guess it's a requirement that we have to deal with the water off the roadway, and so that's the location there.
Thanks, Troy. And I just want to add really quickly that this construction project and every construction project that we do is several years in the making before we get to the point where we're ready to go to construction. So property owners who will be impacted by construction have already been contacted by our Real Property Services Department and are well aware of any impacts that would be coming to their property in advance of construction. The next question is, does the creek have native fish? Did you want to add something to that, Troy?
Well, no, I was thinking the question was about property values and that kind of thing, and I'm not certain I have an answer for that. But I think in terms of what you just addressed, all of the property and access rights that the county needs for the project have been acquired, whether it's a permanent acquisition or a temporary construction easement that will expire when the project is done. Those have all been obtained and have to be before we can actually put the project out on the street. That's one of the requirements. We can't bid the project without having all of those, everything we need from a property right perspective for the project.
Thank you. Good clarification. Does the creek have native fish?
It is listed, and I'd have to double check with our environmental person. It is a listed stream. So whether it has it at this location, I'm not certain, but it is listed as being capable of having them. Sometimes what happens is there might be a fish passage downstream, but since we're here, I mean, when I say a fish passage, a blockage where they may not actually be physically able to get to here, but the idea is that as we go through and deal with the crossing that we're at, we make it fish passable, and so that ultimately all of the culverts ideally are addressed over time. So yes, it is listed as a fish passable or a fish bearing stream. And so we're required to make it the culvert fish passable.
How will this construction at the intersection of Northeast 10th Avenue and 149th Street affect the two horses who currently live on the small ranch at that intersection? Can the horses stay or be removed?
On where?
The intersection of 10th and 149th.
The horses?
The horses. If you're not sure about that one, I believe, actually, I know that one was sent in an email, so maybe this one that we can follow up on.
Yeah, I'm not aware of where those are, but I would think that the fencing, if it's there now, we either paid for the fencing to be replaced, or we would ensure that it's enclosed during construction. I do want to follow up on that one if we have that information. I'm not sure exactly where that is or what that's in reference to.
Okay, I'll make sure we get the contact information so we can follow up on that one. Any idea how far apart the two roundabouts on Northeast 10th will be?
So I'm not sure what the two roundabouts is in reference to. There would be the one that would be down on 141st Street, and then there is another one down north of 134th Street. Whatever that distance is, there would not be one with the county project up farther to the north of this yellow dot that I'm aware of. I hope that's answering the question, but those would be that. I'm not aware of one farther north than the one that we've talked about with the Skyview project at 141st.
Thank you, Troy. The next series of questions are about signaling and speed bumps, asking about speed bumps in surrounding communities, needing more lights on 149th, and can that be looked at? And question about 10th Avenue traffic having priority versus the traffic that is coming from 149th. I'm gonna jump in before Troy says anything on this one and say that those are things that are not necessarily a part of the 10th Avenue project. That is a great question for our transportation division. Our transportation division manager literally eats, sleeps, and breathes traffic signals, traffic signal timing, and he would probably be the best person to answer those questions. So I'm going to post my contact information in the chat here. If you want to send me an email, I can make sure that those very specific questions get answered, unless Troy has anything else that he wants to add to that.
No, I think that's correct, because it is not dealing directly with the project. And I was just going to say, there's a way to capture that question after the meeting off this chat? We can follow up, or they can contact you.
That is good. I will be sure to. Or Cindy, can you put my contact information in the chat for everybody, and we'll leave that up for a second here. I'll also get it up on the website just in case you don't get a chance to write that down here. Looks like a lot of this discussion was about the horses. My apologies. I am also trying to catch up on these questions. So I believe that those are the biggest questions, which is good because it's 6:31, which means we are out of time. I want to thank everybody so much for coming this evening. As Cindy mentioned in chat earlier, this presentation, along with the conversation between Troy and I here, where I asked your questions, has been recorded. We will be posting the video of this presentation on our website by the end of the week. We'll also be putting together a question and answer document based off of some of the feedback that we got here. Please feel free to reach out to any of us, Troy, Bart, or myself. We are here to give you all of the answers that you want, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable in understanding what impacts will be coming to your neighborhood this summer. So thank you all for your time, and we hope that you have a great evening.